All right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mack here on the 1010XL podcast platform, 1010XL.com, and, of course, the 1010XL app all over the world of podcasts, wherever you watch, listen, what have you, and all throughout social media. So check us out. You can always just look up 1010XL, and you'll find all the programming that is done right out of here in the studios, including Catching Up with Tommy Mack, brought to you by Team Tommy Mack, just local businesses, regional businesses that, man, I love what they do. I love what they stand for. They deliver. I trust them. You should too. Of course, we cover the gamut, and we'll talk about them individually all throughout the holiday season and whatnot. But Team Tommy Mack, you guys rock. I love you, and I appreciate all the support. And everybody that watches the show, man, you're part of the team. Grammage is part of the team. What's up, Grammage?
What's going on?
You're running wild today, babe, huh?
Yes, sir.
The hair's flowing like you've been flying in the wind or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've been high up in the air or something? What's going on? They're running you.
No, I had it tied up.
Did you?
I did it.
Yeah.
So it takes a minute to fall
All right,
flat.
you're on location today or something, right?
Yes, sir.
You got
XL Primetime out at
Where
Players
they?
Grill. Players Grill in Mandarin today.
Great spot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great spot. So, all right, pretty cool. Lots to get into as the Jags take on the Ravens. Want to thank Reggie Hayward for being our guest last night, Tommy Mack's Happy Hour. Great to get to know him. I've gotten to know him over the years. Always admired him as a player. What a hell of a player, man. Just the perfect kind of player. We actually had a lot in common, which was kind of interesting, which I did not know about. Well, I knew he was from Chicago, as am I. But both the youngest of four as well. So that's kind of interesting. And he got married on my birthday. So my birth date, I should say. So anyway, great guy. Had a great career. We had a great time. Of course, Killer Bees there as well. And that's every Thursday night. Paul Posluszny next Thursday night. Getting you ready for Christmas. So absolutely looking forward to that. All right, last night, Raiders just trounced the Chargers. I didn't watch a lick. I didn't. I watched the highlights this morning. I saw the score and just like, okay, so this is second time now, right? Miami put up 70 on Denver, 63 last night. I know it's happened in the past, but I don't know how many times it's happened in a season. And two's not a ton. I'm not trying to say that, but is this what the NFL wants? Like these kind of, high scoring? I mean, I know we know only the real, mostly defensive people, I would imagine, but the people that don't get, they're not in awe of the big play. They love the big play. They love every part about the big play, but they're okay with a 12-9 defensive battle. You know what I mean? They're okay as long as there's a lot of action. It's not just boring stuff. There's turnovers, there's sacks and fumbles and picks and stuff like. You know what I mean? Because I get bored too. Trust me, I fall asleep on the couch if it's too boring. But that kind of scoring. I mean, it's 2-0 at halftime, Graham. 42-0. Like, what are we talking about here? That feels like a college game, when the highest ranked team is playing like, Little Sisters of the Poor to warm up for the season. You know what I mean? Just interesting. And I know it happened in I think 1920, the championship game, there was like 73 points scored. The Bears and the Redskins, something like. So it's not like it's not happened, but I don't know. It just feels like, man, that's a lot of points. That's a lot of points.
I think fans want close games.
Yeah, but points.
Yeah, but
I agree. Okay, and that's cool. That's a fun game to watch.
I think any fan, obviously, if you're a fan of the team that puts up a ton of points and kills your team, that's obviously different. But an unbiased watcher of that game that doesn't have a dog in the fight,
right?
That person would rather have 21-20, and a game-winning field goal or something at the end, than 63-21.
I agree. You get
that
bored
game was
after a while.
over
Yeah,
by the second quarter.
Yeah, you're like, this is boring. I'm going to go watch whatever else I'm watching.
I would be willing to bet that the second half of that game was probably one of the worst viewed halves of Thursday Night Football in the season. Yeah.
I mean, their own fan bases are going to watch, obviously, but other than that, we're actually saying, or LA probably shut it off. I would have shut it off.
God, yeah.
Forget this.
You're a Chargers fan?
Yeah.
Hell no, I'm not watching that second
half.
But
that was interesting, I guess. I don't know. All the rule changes pretty much benefit the offense and have for decades. So, Is that what we're going to see more and more of? I hope not. I like yours. Like, look, Jags Cincinnati. If you're not a fan of the team, that was a compelling game to watch. You're like, all right, this is a great game. I'm not tied emotionally to, should they win, shouldn't they not win? What's it going to do? Playoff picture, all that stuff. I don't care. I'm just watching it for the game, and you're compelled to watch that kind of game.
That was a hell of a game.
A lot of points, a lot of stuff happening.
I think
close game.
I will say, again, this isn't every person ever, but just I feel like this is fair to speak for the just blanket NFL fan.
Yep.
Close games first are the most important in what is a good game, quote, good game. And then if it can be a closer, higher scoring game, that is better than a close, low scoring game.
Right.
I think most fans prefer 31-30 than they do, like you said, 12-9.
Let me throw an addition. How about 31-30 with a walk-off punt return for a touchdown in overtime to win the game?
Yeah.
like Baltimore won last
week.
week. That was I watched the game, but I kept seeing the score like, wow, back and forth.
Or remember week 1 of Monday Night Football, the Jets won that way.
That's right.
Remember they beat the Bills like that?
That's right, they did.
Yep.
That's right. Brant Boyer's special teams unit getting it done. All right, Ravens roll into town, 10-3, winners of last 3. Do you know who their last loss was to? I had to look it up because I wanted to see what the teams are doing, prior to playing the Jags.
Is it a divisional game for them?
Yeah. We just played them.
Is it Cleveland?
Cleveland beat them 33-31.
Okay.
Interesting. Take it for what it is. Here's the thing about the NFL. I mean, Chicago beats Detroit. Like, Detroit needed a win. Like, not that they're not going to go to the play, but they needed a win to, keep going. And now they're, I think, losers of 2. Denver coming to town. 3 games Saturday night. That'll be fun. I think the night game will be a good game. Indy and Pitt. I mean, Indy needs a win. We don't want them to win, but Indy needs a victory if they're going to stay in that wild card, type race. I think they're done. They got some turmoil. They're talking about firing Tomlin. How about the talk about firing Belichick? Like, he's already been told that he's going to be done at the end of the year. That's interesting. And then did you hear maybe Washington wants him?
Yes.
I mean, someone's going to get – I mean, if he doesn't want to coach, that's one thing. Belichick can write his own ticket out of here. But if he's not done coaching, he's going to coach something.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
D coordinator or head coach. I don't know if he'd go down to D coordinator, but someone's going to be like, man, I'll take him for the next 3 years.
I think any organization before the Jags got Doug Peterson, the Jags would have fallen into this category.
Yeah.
Any organization where just top to bottom it's been dysfunction for forever.
Yeah.
They'll do anything to get Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Someone that can kind of fix.
He'd be good for Washington, I think.
Yeah, someone that can kind of strip a franchise down to its studs and rebuild it with
keep
just
the
more
bones.
winning habits.
Yep.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
There's these franchises that just smell like losing.
Snyder left to stink.
Correct.
I'm sorry,
Correct.
he did. The owner left. They freaking stink with that organization. They knew they needed. They had new ownership now. Nothing against Ron Rivera, but you've had your chance. You've had your time. Call it what it is with personnel. Whatever it is, what it is. It's time for you to move on, I think. And if Belichick wants that job, I think you give it to him.
And
I don't know. I would. I wouldn't be. I'm not willing to say he's done.
Oh, I don't think he's done.
No, I don't mean like done.
Yeah.
I think he can still coach.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people are like, man, without Brady, he hasn't
Yeah.
been really good. But I think that obviously there's a lot more to it than just that. Although there's some truth to that. I mean, Brady and it was Brady's system. It became Brady's system. It became his life.
I think that what has to happen with Belichick, whether it's in New England or elsewhere, and like we just said, it sounds like it's not going to be in New England. He does need to be, in my opinion, a little bit more willing to hire staff.
I agree.
That isn't dudes he's known for 20 years.
Agree.
At some point, man, because here's the problem.
They were dysfunctional in the beginning. Wasn't the D coordinator calling offensive players?
Yes,
Matt
2 years
Patricia.
ago.
What the hell was that? That was weird.
And I think it was as simple as McDaniels had left to go take the Raiders job at the end of the season prior.
Yep.
And again, Belichick, he's won a certain way for so long that I think there's this unwillingness to hire anybody new, even if they're qualified, even if they'd help.
If he goes to Washington, wouldn't you bring McDaniels if you could?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So that you'd understand because he runs an offense that's done very well under Belichick's head coaching.
But if
reign.
if the QB's coach is your son, after that, that's a problem.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
You need to go have McDaniels be the OC.
Yep.
If he's available, if he wants to do it.
If he wants it, yep.
And then go get the hot young QB's coach or something that could, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
I agree with you that Belichick could still be a great coach. He won all those Super Bowls for a reason. He clearly knows what he's doing. He knows winning football. He knows winning habits.
He knows defense for sure.
Right, of course. And you know he's going to put the work in, too.
Yep.
But I do think wherever his next stop is, if it's not New England, he needs to meet the new age of football halfway a little bit.
Yeah.
You
know what? He's smart enough to do it, too. I don't think his ego's that big, but you never know.
Well,
but he's going to have to do that.
A couple of years ago, I would have agreed with you.
Yeah.
But then he had a defensive coach calling plays.
Right.
That would tell me his ego is too big.
Or he's just like, whatever, you can handle it. Yeah.
Right, you know what I mean?
I don't know if that's ego. Maybe it's just like, look, I'm comfortable with him. He's been a head coach. You know, he's obviously overlooked offense with Detroit, whether how good or bad they did, whatever. But, you know, I trust him. I mean, we're sitting there going, well, why would you let a defense coach call offensive plays? But he's sitting there probably going, well, he can call them. So let's let him call them. So I'm calling the whatever. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Big game for our Jags. I hope they can keep the off-field, noise out of the way. Amit Patel looking at 30 years in prison. 22 mil over 5 years. That's like a rookie contract. 5 year, 22 million. Wow. Well, you know what? I think most crooks get caught, don't they? Tequila Sunrise, great movie with Mel Gibson. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a great movie. And he's this, cocaine dealer. He's not the kingpin, but he's pretty high up there. And he, at the end of the movie, from what I remember, he just walks away, like into the sunset. No big deal. That doesn't happen. You get caught normally, don't you? Anyway, looks like he's looking at a big amount of time. What's more important is what's happening on the field. Sunday Night Football. Baltimore Ravens coming to town, 10-3. They're 5-1 on the road. We are 3-4 on the home, and losers of 2. It's too bad. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but it's too bad we couldn't have eked out one of those games last 2 weeks to get a victory. We'd be sitting there pretty nice at 9-4, going for the AFC lead against the leader in Baltimore. Make no mistake about it. Baltimore's built pretty strong. They're tough. They're physical. They got playmakers on the outside. They got a quarterback who's playing outstanding football and who's just ridiculously good, who can really hurt you. They average about 28 points a game. They only give up about 17. They're very good on third down. They're not that great against stopping the run, so there might be something there, but they got a ton of sacks, almost 50 sacks on the year compared to our 27. And you take away Josh, and we're down to 14. Well, you can't take him away because he's earned them, but you see the difference. These guys, they've got 4 or 5 guys. Van Noy's got 6. The defensive tackle who nobody knows, although you see his number, you're like, oh, yeah, I know the number. He's got 11. His name's Justin Matabuki, if I pronounced it that correctly, number 92. He's got 11 sacks from an interior defensive tackle position. So these guys get after it. Their linebackers are they're very good. Roquan, I know he struggled earlier, but they've come around. They're good on third down, good on fourth down on defense. On offense, look, man, they're just explosive. They added Zay Flowers. OBJ is still making plays. Zay Flowers can burn you. He's so quick, perfect out of the slot. I know Andrews is gone, and that sucks, but guess what? Isaiah Likely can run, and he can play football, and he's a good weapon. And then, of course, you just got to take care, of the business. Look, I know a lot's going on. I'm sure we're going to talk about in Jaguars today about, what Press Taylor said yesterday. I think what Chad Hall said as well, the 2 coaches, offensive coaches for the Jags, like nobody's running wrong routes. It's just miscommunication. Listen, we know this about Doug's staff and Doug. They're not going to throw their players under the bus, and nor should they. They don't have to. I don't care. You can see it with your own eyes. I see it. And look, if it's miscommunication, then there's 2 sides of the miscommunication: running the wrong route or throwing it to the wrong spot. So what is it? What's miscommunication? Okay, well, who's miscommunicating? Which side? Well, both. Well, then they are running the wrong route. Now, he didn't say that, but he's got to say that, because then if he doesn't, he's going to say, well, my quarterback's actually throwing it into the wrong spot. That's the problem. And by the way, Trevor's placement has got to be better. There's no doubt about it, especially on those outside throws. And please, 3rd and 1, get the first down. I don't care if it's one-on-one. I don't care if it's Ridley and it's going to look pretty and you'll look awesome on national TV, man. Get that first down. You're going to audible to something that keeps the ball moving. Now watch. You'll go down there and you'll throw a bomb and he'll score. And you're like, well, you don't know nothing, Tommy back. You're right. That could happen. But the risk-reward, I think, it's too high. Yeah, the reward's fantastic, but the risk is really high if you don't convert, if you don't make that play.
And what did we talk about last time we were on? Anytime it's 3rd and short and the other team is sending the house and Trevor Caesar sending the house, he wants to throw that deep ball.
Yeah.
You think the Ravens haven't talked about that in
everybody talks about it now. Well, he's thinking one-on-one. We got the speed. Zay's fast. So is Cal. We'll make it happen, but it doesn't happen. On occasion it does. And it's great when it happens, right? It's like going forward on 4th down. When you get it, great. When you don't get it, terrible, right? Just the way it is. And then you throw in the play call and all of that. So, look, as far as what the coaches are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's the player's job to know everything that's going on every single play. I mean, and maybe not everything. Look, I knew coverage, I knew front, but did I knew individual technique? No, nor did I care, but I knew exactly where people are supposed to be, and more importantly, where I'm supposed to be, right? So if we go and look at the defensive side, what do we say about Devin Lloyd not knowing who he has in man coverage twice? What do you say about that? Is that miscommunication? You know what I mean? What is that? Or is that just maybe he doesn't know? And maybe as a team, as a unit, you got to talk to each other. Maybe you look, and I know you don't want to do it, but maybe you do have to turn them and say, hey, Dev, you got him, right? Me and you. I got the back, you got the tight end, or whatever, vice versa, whatever it is, right? Or, hey, I'm blitzing. Make sure you got him over here. Just quick reminders. Maybe that's all the kid needs, but he's out of position. It's funny. It's not funny. I made a comment on Twitter. This whole, it's like when you hear, nobody's. It's just miscommunication. It's almost like, when you get run on, they pound the rock against you, you get your ass kicked, and the coach is like, it's just, gap integrity. You're like, no, it's integrity. Your guys got moved out of the gap by another man. So you got your ass beat at the line of scrimmage. It ain't gap integrity. It's not winning the battle in the gap. There's a big difference, right? But listen, I don't care.
If you get out of your gap by
getting pushed out
or
thrown on the ground.
If you get out of your gap because you moved the offensive lineman out of the way and you went and blew the play up 2 yards in the backfield, no one's saying gap integrity.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
No one's like, hey, Aaron.
Wow.
No one says, hey, Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Great play, shooing that double team aside, but you really should have stayed in your gap.
Yeah, that was bad gap integrity.
No one's ever said that.
No, exactly.
Yeah, you're right. The gap integrity thing is when
That's
you're getting your
just coach
ass
speak. And again, they're protecting the player. I don't really care. Look, at the end of the day, just know what you're doing. Know what you're doing on every single snap. And if that's a QB, obviously it's a QB too. So there is, hey, I believe in, I always say this, I believe in 2 things in life, more than 2, but it takes 2 to tango. Always will, always does. Never one-sided. And the truth is somewhere in the middle here on earth. You know what I mean? Like it's somewhere in there. Who's off? Well, Trevor's off a little bit. He is. Some of his placement is off. And obviously, I mean, look, that skinny post, I forget what interception that was, going into the red zone with Cal, he just kind of like didn't even turn. And then Trev threw it, I'm right to the guy, and you're like, okay, well, that skinny post, there's nothing else you're going to run out of that route. Why aren't you turning? Now, is it, you saw the state, like, you afraid you're going to get hit? I don't know. I'm just asking. But something was not right. Like, that was a weird one. Like, Cal, like immediately I thought, like, Calvin, what are you doing? Like, why? You run a skinny post. Get it. The ball, if you turned at the right time, the ball's probably right here. You know what I mean? Right as he makes that break, that's when he threw it, or maybe threw it a little late. But he didn't turn around at all. That's the problem.
I think if anything, Trevor threw it early.
Yeah.
If it was on Trevor at all, he would have had to throw it because Calvin hadn't turned yet.
I don't know if but right. I mean, if I remember it, when it went to the left, they were about even. Cal's vertical compared to the ball. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe did, but it was off. So, but he didn't turn around at all. I mean, at all. Like it wasn't like he turned around late. and turn it all. So that was weird. And he's done it before. I've said on here before, but whatever. I don't care. Just look, I know what he is good at. The slant he's getting really good at, so go to him on that. The deep outer, the 15-yard out, 12-yard, go on that. Nobody can cover him on that. So okay, on occasion go deep. I get it. Don't force it though. And it's not because I said this earlier in the year, and Tony and Mike, they just said, well, look, stats don't say he's favoring Ridley, like how many targets. I know that doesn't always tell a story, but it feels like there are too many times, and it's not just Cal, but it's on those deep, like he's forcing that play. You don't need, not great. You make the play great. And I'll just say this, if you're going to do that, and especially audible to it, which he has, you got to throw the ball in the right spot. You got to make the play. And it is a receiver, but if you put it on him, he should catch it. And you've done that. I mean, we've seen drops down. Ridley had a drop down early in the season, right? If Trevor can make these throws, there's no doubt about it. But it's got to be a little bit more high and outside, to make that play, at least on those outside throws. So, and he's really good look, Trev throws a nice dig, a nice curl. He heaves it in there. Maybe we do more of that. You got to pound the rock. I tell you, one of the most disappointing parts of this season, and granted, we're 8-5, so it's only his upside, right? But ETN's averaging 3.7 yards a carry now. 3.7. That's, I don't want to say pedestrian, but it's pedestrian. I mean, goodness gracious. If I held it back to 3.7 throughout the year, my defense, we'd party. I mean, we'd be out celebrating. Like, wow, what a great feat that is for the entire year, at least up to now. That's 13 games. We're holding him to 3.7. That's a huge win. That's got to get better, Grammage.
And the last couple weeks, there has been a point in every game where they have abandoned the run game.
What's that?
In the last couple weeks, there has been a point in every game where they have abandoned the run game too.
True.
And I'm not even blaming them for doing it because at some point you're just wasting downs if you're getting stuffed every single time.
Yep.
But something has to give. Like the point is, it can't be midway through the third quarter, into the fourth quarter, and you just know, no matter what, all three of these downs, if we do or don't get a first down, are going to be throws.
I think it was Trevor's first pick. We were down 14-0, and we panicked. I mean, our first play, I think, was a bomb down the field, or he called or whatever. But I was like, man, 14-0 in the second quarter, or even in late in the, you know what I mean? You don't panic yet. You don't. You've got time. You still run your offense. You don't play catch up. No, 21-0. 28-0, you better start making up some points somehow. But you got to still run your offense when it's 14-0. Well, I felt that one was a forced kind of play.
That's kind of what I was saying with the run game. Is it has felt like, especially the Browns game, it wasn't even the score that made them abandon the run game. It was the fact that it just wasn't working.
Right.
That game could have been tied, or the Jags could have been ahead, and they still probably wouldn't have run the ball because, again, If it gets to a point where you literally cannot ever move bodies, then you're wasting downs running the ball because you can't succeed at it.
Yep.
So, and the Jags were even losing yards running the ball.
Yep.
It felt like every time ETN got it, lost a 2.
Yeah.
Lost a 3.
Well,
lost a 1.
Yeah, and you flip it around like that for watching the tape again. That first drive by the Browns, I mean, our backers jumped up on the run fake like 3 or 4 times. And Njoku was wide open on it. That was a blown assignment. I mean, then the other one was to Njoku. And he's a great athlete, and he's a good tight end. But I went back and looked at the rest of the year. He's been okay. I mean, we made him look like Antonio Gates. I mean, we made him look like phenomenal.
They're going to bite that hard. You and me could have run down there and scored that ball.
Well, I don't know about me. You might, if you're fast. But I'm just saying you can't. And the run game haven't even gotten started yet. But you were so concerned about the run. You were literally – and look – I made this point. I wonder how backers, I don't have a lot of time to talk about, but I wonder how backers read, because I always ask inside backers, Mike backers, like, how do you key? So there's an old thinking, you read the guard. You read the guard in front of you. So if the guard comes at you, it's a run play. If the guard pulls, probably a run play to the other side. If he stands up, probably a pass play, and then I go look for I was always taught, and by the great Pat McCormick, who played linebacker at Brown, he was our GA. We watched so much film. He used to show me film of Romo, when he was at BC, and just how he would make plays and the keys and all that stuff. So we'd always key the back, especially the tailback at home. And not only key him, but look at how he takes off on his plane, right? Is it direct? Is it a sweep? Is it a bubble? Does he take a step first? Does he hop first? When they hop back in the day, it was a draw, or it was a fake draw, play action. When they took a step this way in the guard, it was a counter. But today, if you're reading the guard, I think the guard can fool you today with the RPO way easier than they could fool us back when you're just keying the back. And you never should stare at the line anyway, in my opinion. You got to see him. And it's hard today because that RPO, man, it looks like a run, and then boom, they pop up, and you can be screwed. So I'm not saying it's easy to not, jump on that run fake, but you just can't. And the speed of these tight ends, and look, this kid likely can fly. I mean, he's impressive. He's not Mark Andrews impressive, but he's pretty darn impressive from a receiving standpoint. So it's going to be interesting how we take care of that on Sunday night. This is going to be, look, by the way, you see Jadeveon Clowney's got 7.5 sacks. Wasn't he available?
Yes. He came to Jacksonville for a visit.
Hey, I don't know. Listen, I'll tell you what. I did make a comment. Parker Washington, look, aside from the fun, we got to hold on to the ball. I don't care what year you are. You got to hold on to the ball. But he's turned out to be a good player. He's making some plays in the punt game and in the receiving game. And we got to see more of it. But, hey, not bad whatsoever. I'm happy for the 6th-round pick. I will say this before I get into the stats. Back to the sacks, because I was thinking about this. So Trayvon's got 5. Josh has got 14.5, 13.5, 14, somewhere around there. And then we have 27 total. You know who has 0? Foley. You know who has 0? Now, he's been hurt. Hamilton. You know who has 0? Gotsis. You know who's got 1.5? Roy. That's not complimentary football. You know what I mean? Your outside guys are doing work. Our inside guys have to do more work. Now, our backers make up for it on their blitzes, right? I think Aluakin's got 3.5 sacks. Cisco's got a couple. I love Antonio Johnson on the corner. He's a stud. I love that kid. I think he's going to be a player. But those interior guys, and you re-sign them. Now, granted, Hamilton, been hurt, been injured, whatever, the back, the infection, whatever it was, fine. But the rest, I mean, come on, man. Earn your money. Earn your money. And by the way, you're giving up too much on the ground per carry. You're crept up. Now you're at 4.0. That's not terrible. That's not, but it's got to be better. Get back to that 3.6. They got some players, man. They can run the football. Gus Edwards is a big back, and he averages. Let's see, I wrote it down. He averages 4.2, 4.3 yards a carry, and he's a bruiser, and they go to him a lot. They got a speedster that averages 8.5 yards a carry, Keaton Mitchell out of Eastern Carolina. So he only has 38 carries or something like that, but 8.5 yards. So they got a pounder, they got to change a pace, and then they got Lamar, who, by the way, 123 carries. Those are planned runs, 123 at 5.2 yards a carry. Now, look, I know what people are saying out there. I know, on paper, no way, they're not, blah, 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 blah. The Bears just beat Detroit. The NFL, we've seen crazy things happen. I'm not saying it would be crazy for us to win. I said this earlier on Twitter, and I'm going to stand by it. I mean it. We are talented enough, Grammage, and everybody out there. This Jaguar team is talented enough to be a real contender in the playoffs. A real contender. However, they're not talented enough to think that they can just show up and just figure it out on the fly. So hopefully last week's loss is a wake-up call that, hey, man, we got to know what the hell we're doing out there on every single snap. And if you don't know, find out. Ask. Ask the coach. Ask me. Ask anybody. But you got to know what's going on every single snap. And I don't care what position we're talking about. Hey, listen, there was this a sack on Trevor. It was a bad sack where they had communication issues up front. Everyone slid left except Scherf, and he blocked air. The guy came free. Now, granted, the running back, he might have not taken the inside guy if they went left, all of them, because that means they would have shifted one, and then that guy coming free. Trev tried to get out of it. I thought he was going to get hurt because the way he got tackled. So that's everybody got to put in the extra effing work if you want to be a contender. And look, win or lose, it's how you play this game. It's how you play this game. This is a battle tester for you to go into the playoffs and do something. Now, you got to finish strong. And by the way, you can maybe Carolina, whatever, anything can happen on Sunday, but Tampa up and down, Tennessee's not laying down for you. They're going to come at you. So you got to be ready for all this, man. What this Sunday night can do for you as a team is kind of, and I don't want to compare, but when the New York Giants went toe-to-toe with New England in that final game, different scenario, I understand. But you play this team hard, and hopefully you win. I think you're going to win. I think it's going to be an upset. I don't know why. Because I will say why, although it didn't happen last week. Typically after a bad loss, you guys redeem yourselves. You guys come out on fire and make something happen. But you're going to have that kind of effort and no mistakes. There can be no mistakes. 0 mistakes against this team. So it does matter how you go against them, win or lose. And I hope you win. And I think it's going to be a close game. And I do think you're going to pull it out in front of the hometown crowd and give this fan base something to be excited about. Because the rest of the year before, that was then, and this is now. So we got to show up in a big way. National TV. You haven't looked good on national TV yet. This is your chance. You haven't put together a full game yet. This is your chance. You haven't put a team away when you have a lead. This could be maybe that chance. But whatever the outcome is, if you play them tough and hard and close, it'll give you that thick skin to go into the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs on a good note. Play this team hard, come away with a victory, man, and just at least make it a tight game where they come out of the game thinking, damn, that's a good football team. Right? That's a team we better be careful of if we meet them again in the playoffs. That's the kind of production, that's the kind of game you got to have Sunday night against the Ravens. There you go. I got to go do
yes,
radio.
Sir.
All right? Finishing on a strong note. Peace and love to you all out there. Hope you have a great day and weekend. Thanks, Team Tommy Mac. Always appreciative of you guys. Chris Lucero's bail bonds. Hey, Amit. I don't know. He ain't getting you out of the clink. I don't think you're going to be in there a while. But if you, other than Amit, that gets thrown in the clink, my boy, Chris Lucero, gets you out in a blink. Check him out. J-Dog Junk Removal, veteran-owned and operated. Great guys. Listen, you got clutter, they'll come in and take care of it. And by the way, they refurbish pretty much all the materials that they grab, all the items, so they can give them to veteran families in need. So if you got some, whatever it is, sorry, I'm making it all shake, whatever it is, whether a couch, a table, a chair, what have you, they'll come in and they'll take it off your hands. And then they'll fix it up, and then they'll give it to a family in need. Of course, the carpet, man, not just LVP, baby. Carpet, tile, laminate, you name it. Best prices and the highest quality. Go check them out. Azar Sausage, 3rd generation, homegrown down home. You know, I love that. We have it pretty much every week now in the house. Absolutely fantastic. Graffiti Burger Bar, home of Tommy Mac's Happy Hour, but also home to great food, new ownership, great food, and TVs galore with a full bar, no doubt about that. Outback Marine Construction. Hey, you know what? I know it's wintertime, might not be thinking about it, but you know what? Spring will be here soon, or maybe you need some repairs on your boathouse, on your dock, whatever it may be, on your wall. Outback Marine Construction will come in and take care of it. Truck Accident Law Firm, all they do is truck crashes, man, and all they care about is your safety out there. Check them out at truckcrashlaw.com for all types of safety warnings, issues to help you out there on the road, especially when you're inside a bunch of truckers traveling, getting the goods so Santa can arrive on time. And Solomon Ventures, man, check them out, of course, on Art Museum Drive right there on Atlantic Boulevard. Man, you go in there and you're going to get unbelievable deals on name brands, all types of stuff, food. There's some clothing. There's some furniture. Go check them out right there at Art Museum Drive. All right, that'll do it for me right here at Catching Up with Tommy Mac in 1010XL's podcast studio. Great to be part of the family. Jumping over to Jaguars today from 10 a.m. to 12 noon with Mike Dempsey and fat, although he's not fat, Tony Smith and Pockets, the producer. So until next time, stay safe and be cool out there, man. We'll see you right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mac. Peace.